Let's welcome to the show Mr. John Rentoul, Chief Political Commentator at The Independent. Hello, John.
Good morning, Kevin. I haven't seen that clip because I'm not interested in the royal family, so I've never watched that interview. But that is priceless.
I recommend it for the sheer comedy value. How does it feel now, Mr. Rentoul, to be on the same social status as the former Prince Andrew, who's now Mr. Windsor, Mountbatten Windsor? How does it feel?
Well, I'd like to extend that principle to other members of the royal family. I don't believe in the monarchy, and I think they should all follow suit.
Well, I need to get on to Rachel Reeves, but it's interesting you say that because the reason I think the king has finally realised he better get seriously tough with his disastrous brother is that a recent poll revealed that 52% of the British people now think because of Andrew we might as well ditch this lot. So
52%.
Well, put it this way: that they felt that if Andrew hung around,
right,
there would be trouble for the royal family. So,
I see. Yeah, no, but I mean, most of this country is staunchly royalist.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's being that staunch monarchism among the people of this country has been diluted by Andrew. That's why we're seeing suddenly, or at long last, strong action by the king.
What I think is surprising is how little it has been dented by the former Prince Andrew. I think people are remarkably resilient in their support for the monarchy. It's probably a bit like bands when I was a teenager. You know, if they become too popular, I didn't like them. Yeah. So if public opinion decided that they wanted to get rid of the monarchy, I'd probably be defending it.
Yeah, you old rebel, you. Yeah, so I believe that this is the point in the programme where I have to have a flaming row with you. Is that right? Well, let's not bother with that for once.
Rentoul's rumble.
Yeah, Rentoul's rumble. Let's talk about Rachel Reeves, who, according to the Prime Minister's increasing numbers of letters of exoneration to her, also has a tendency to be too honourable. Seriously, I mean, look, the problem here is that she started, she was found out by the Daily Mail, so she writes this sort of traditional letter, Prime Minister oversight and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I didn't know about it. Nobody told us about the fact we were supposed to get a £900 landlord's licence to rent out our private home in Dulwich, because, of course, the family moved to 11 Downing Street. Nobody told us. Then the letting agents, I think, thinking they would help her, came out and said, well, we dropped the ball on it. You know, we said we'd have to get this, like we told Rachel and her husband would have to get this licence. And then I'm afraid the member of staff in charge of their case suddenly resigned and we forgot all about it. Rachel suddenly writes back to the Prime Minister, oh, well, it turns out I did know about it. I've just found an email confirming that what I previously told you wasn't true. I did know about it, but of course it's not my fault. Well, here's another letter. Once again, Rachel, you've proved yourself to be a person of unbelievable integrity and honesty, and I think your apology, once again, your second apology, draws a line under the whole affair. Now, you know, this isn't murder. This isn't the worst crime in the world, but she's broken the law, changed her story rather suspiciously, and all of us peasants around the country are thinking, well, when we break the law, if only we could have a Prime Minister to constantly exonerate us and write us a letter saying we're in the clear. It's one rule for them and one rule for the rest of us. People are annoyed about this.
Yeah, no, well, I agree with that last bit, Kevin. It's one rule for them and one rule for the rest of us. It's a much tougher rule for a politician than for a normal person. They're held to much higher standards.
Well, so why doesn't she resign? Why isn't she sacked? She's broken the law. She's the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Doesn't seem to me she's being held up to...
You've just admitted it's not murder. It's not a serious offence. It's not a sacking offence. It's a bureaucratic oversight. The interesting question, I think. Well, there are two interesting questions.
She's broken the law. I mean, I know not massively, but she's broken the law. She's the Chancellor of the Exchequer. If this government had any integrity, if the Prime Minister had any integrity, which he clearly doesn't, he would sack her. If she had any integrity, we are having a row, aren't we? If she had any integrity, she would resign.
No, I completely disagree.
Lawmakers cannot be lawbreakers. Who said that? Who said
Boris
that?
Johnson.
Who said that? It was Keir Starmer. She's a lawmaker. She's broken the law.
Yes, I agree. They're guilty. They're guilty of hypocrisy. Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak broke the law. I didn't think it mattered. I didn't think a bit of birthday cake in number 10 was a serious offence. I didn't think they should resign, but Labour called for them to resign.
Yeah.
Rachel Reeves said that Rishi Sunak should resign.
Therein lies the problem, John. Can I just play you a quick clip? This is said Rachel Reeves, Rachel from Accounts, on Rule Bakers talking to Good Morning Britain in 2021.
And it now turns out that the very people at the top of government making these rules for everybody else didn't think that they applied to them.
All right, what can I ask you?
I don't think that we can have a situation where there's one set of rules for one group of people and another for everybody else.
Can I ask?
Well, the word hypocrisy springs to mind. I mean, seriously, John, you know, lawmakers cannot be lawbreakers. She has broken the law.
Actually, because Boris Johnson
they
was
shouldn't
a
be,
lawbreaker.
should they?
Well, obviously they should avoid breaking the law if they can. But, you know,
in the ideal world, yes.
Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson didn't know they were breaking the law, and it was a stupid law anyway. I mean, they passed it. It's Boris Johnson's fault. But
well, let's not talk about Boris Johnson. She who I admit has many faults. I'm no fan of Boris Johnson. We have a Prime Minister now who lies as a hobby, but Boris Johnson and made it a lifestyle. But surely, she's essentially lied to the Prime Minister in that first...
No, she hasn't.
She did. She said, I didn't know anything about it.
Kevin, you've got to be very careful with the L word. I've warned you lot before. A lie is a deliberate
sorry, Your Honour.
No, look, she'd forgotten, or at least, or her husband hadn't told her that the estate agent promised to take care of this licence.
Yeah.
So she inadvertently misstated the facts to the Prime Minister. That's not right.
You're sounding like a sort of mealy-mouthed politician. I inadvertently misstated the facts. That's code for that's code for I lied.
No, it's not. It's a completely
Well, why did she write to the Prime Minister saying, I didn't know anything, and nobody told me anything about?
She'd forgotten about it.
Come on.
It's a stupid, pettifogging, bureaucratic bit of rule.
She'd forgotten about it.
Well,
really?
Or she never knew.
I wouldn't forget about that, would you? Yeah,
yes,
what I would be saying if I was her,
oh
my
local
God.
authority regulations. I mean...
well, that's another issue. I mean, why is there all this red tape? I agree with that.
It's a ridiculous example of pettifogging.
It is. I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
But the other example that's closer to home that you could also quote at me if you like is Angela Rayner. How come Angela Rayner had to resign and Rachel Reeves didn't? Because I mean they're both guilty of exactly the same thing. Angela Rayner inadvertently didn't pay enough stamp duty because she thought she'd got rid of her home in her constituency. She didn't realise that putting it into trust for her son who's got disabilities meant that she would be liable for the higher rate of stamp duty. So her case is exactly the same in principle as Rachel Reeves, and yet Angela Rayner's been dispatched to the outer darkness, and the Chancellor's still there.
Well, look, put it another way. Dan Hodges is saying today that she broke the law and then she misled the Prime Minister. I mean. Well,
that's better than using the L word. She inadvertently misled the Prime Minister because she'd either didn't know or had forgotten about the correspondence with the estate agents, which was all handled by her husband.
I mean, John, if you believe that she forgot that, then I've got some swampland to sell you in Florida. I mean,
I'm not interested in
I missed the day that you were born yesterday. I mean, seriously, come on. I mean, look.
You started this, Kevin. You started this by saying it wasn't a serious offence.
No, it's not. But arguably, breaking into the Watergate building wasn't in itself a serious offence. When they started lying about it, it's in politics so often. It is not the actual offence; it's the subsequent cover-up. She has committed an offence, and she's trying to cover it up. That's what it looks like to. That's what it looks like to the public, John.
Well, in that case, the public's wrong. I mean, that's very simple. I mean, she hasn't done anything seriously wrong. She should stay in post, but I don't think Angela Rayner should have been sacked either.
Okay. Technically, she wasn't sacked, was she?
Oh, sorry, she shouldn't have resigned.
Yeah, she
right.
was resigned, as they say.
She quite honourably, perhaps she rather than
she's like Prince Andrew.
Yeah,
if she's got a fault, she's too honourable, isn't she? No. But that's another good point that you're inadvertently making, if I may say so, John. That if Angela Rayner had to fall on her sword and walk the plank. Yeah. For that kind of, if you like, inadvertent oversight about her stamp duty, why doesn't Rachel Reeves have to do the same? This is pretty inconsistent, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, it's not only hypocrisy because she called for Rishi Sunak to resign. It's inconsistent on the Prime Minister's part because he allowed Angela Rayner to resign. He should have refused to accept Angela Rayner's resignation.
How do you think that would have gone down with the public?
Well, not well, but I mean, I think the public is mistaken on issues like this. I think politicians are held to a higher standard of account than normal.
Well, come on, John, you're contradicting yourself. I would agree with that. Therefore, we shouldn't be dismissing this as just a minor infringement. Because politicians are held to a higher account, she shouldn't be allowed to break the law and then say, "Oh, I forgot that they told me."
No, I think I don't think.
I'm winning this argument, aren't I?
I don't think so. I don't. You started off by saying it wasn't a sacking offence.
I didn't say that. See, look, it's typical Westminster type. I didn't say that. I said it wasn't a massive crime. I didn't say it wasn't a sacking offence. I say it is a sacking offence. I'm going to misquote you, Kevin. Listen, how dare you? Right, this is what Rachel Reeves, Rachel from Accounts, tweeted last week. I welcome Leeds City Council's decision to expand their selective landlord licensing policy to include the Armley area. This scheme means private landlords in the area will be required to, by law, to obtain a licence for any residential property they are seeking to let. That's a pretty incendiary tweet to have sent just last week.
It was 2 years ago. It's 2 years ago,
well,
Kevin. But I mean, you're absolutely right.
That's when she tweeted it, though.
No, it was 2 years. 2 years ago.
Well, okay, so this is her. I'm not sure about that. I thought it was last week, but anyway, this is she's on the case. She's on the case about a landlord licensing policy.
Yeah.
But she says first of all, no one told her about it in Dulwich, and then suddenly they did tell her about it, but she forgot. Now, as someone who is dead keen on landlord licensing, she should have been across her own landlord licensing, surely. Come on.
Of course she should. Yes. I mean, she showed woeful lack of attention to detail. Is not a good sign in a Chancellor of the Exchequer. You want someone who's across the detail and able to pay attention to obscure bits of pettifogging over-regulation. But I don't think it's a sacking offence.
Well, but I mean, you and I are going to differ on this, obviously, but I don't see how you can say, I said it's a relatively minor offence. If it was me, or you, no big deal. But you said politicians must be held to a higher standard.
I said they are held to a higher standard.
All right. They are.
I think it's right that they are.
It's right that they are, particularly if you're the second most important politician in the country, the Chancellor of the Exchequer. So given that, being held to a higher standard, she should not be allowed to break the damn law.
No, I don't agree with that. I think
So she's not being held to a higher standard then. You and I, it would make not much difference to our lives. What you're saying, because politicians are held to a higher standard, it should make a difference to our life.
No, I don't. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in most cases, this would never even have come to light. I mean, most people, I presume there are loads of landlords in Dulwich who haven't got a licence because they didn't realise they had to have one. And the world just keeps turning in its axis, and you know, they get, you know, there's no comeback to them. Whereas Rachel Reeves has people screaming for her resignation, so she's held to a higher standard, and quite rightly. But I don't think she should resign, because I just don't think it's a serious offence.
I mean, she'll probably get away with it. I mean, you know what it is.
I think she already has got away with it.
Yes, of course she's got away with it, because the Prime Minister, she's got her personal exonerator. People around the country are going, wow, wish we could have a Prime Minister to forgive us every time we break the law. Actually, I've just been done for driving at 24 miles an hour in a 20-mile-an-hour limit. Can I get Keir Starmer to write to Chertsey Council and let me off?
Well, that wasn't inadvertent, was it?
Well,
you should have known what speed you were going.
Of course it was inadvertent. When people do 24 miles an hour in a 20-mile-an-hour limit, that's inadvertent. This wasn't inadvertent. She knew about it. She said she didn't. Then she said she did.
Well, she said her husband had found an email. Yeah. But I mean, actually, the point about that email is it does exonerate her, because the point is,
it doesn't really, not given her changing story.
The estate agents had undertaken to take care of it.
Yeah, well, I wonder what new story she's going to come up with tomorrow. I mean, she keeps changing her story. Therein lies the problem. I suspect on this issue, John, you and I are going to have to agree to disagree. But it's always a pleasure to talk to you, mate. Thank you very much. The Independent's chief political commentator, John Rentoul there.